onward. So, in Buddhism, the way that we proceed, at least the Mahayana second turning level, but I think it may be the other ones too, I just don't know. The three wisdoms, we proceed with the three wisdoms. So first we study something, that's what we're doing right now. That can be reading, hearing, on the net, whatever. You know, we get information, that's number one. Then we contemplate it. Now, that's an interesting thing because in the two traditions I've been immersed in the most, the Gelug and the Kagyu, the contemplation piece is slightly different, and I won't say more than that right now, but we'll get to it when we contemplate and talk about those. They complement each other. There's no criticism of the other one, but they're just a little different approach. Study, contemplate, and then meditate. Those are the three wisdoms. So each topic, we need to essentially do that. Get the information, contemplate. What does this really mean? Contemplation, deeper. Yeah, I've got this information, but what does it mean? How does it apply to me? What is it? How does it move my mind training forward? And then meditate, drop all that, just be in the natural clarity and awareness of mind. And all of that will work without us trying to work it. In fact, if we get the I out of the way, it works much better. Hard to get the I out of the way because of those 8 worldly concerns. I really want to do the Dharma to have my gain, my pleasure, my praise, my good reputation. Yuck. Okay, so now we're going to turn to the 6 perfections, and we're going to start with the first wisdom study. Okay? The 6 perfections come out of a sutra, as everything in Buddhism does. Sutras being what the Buddha taught. Comes out of a Mahayana Sutra by Maitreya, which I've never read. I've read about. I read commentaries on, but not the actual. It's called the Ornament for the Mahayana Sutras. Okay? Ornament for Mahayana Sutras. And it is a sutra itself. Okay. Oh, thanks. The Ornament for Mahayana Sutras by Maitreya. That's where the 6 perfections come out of. Then they're carried forward in all the traditions, in Gelug and the Lamrim, which is the stages of the path to awakening. Usually, the author was Lama Tsongkhapa. And in the Kagyu, they're carried forward Gampopa's jewel ornament of liberation, which is kind of equivalent to the Lamrim. So they're both stages from beginning to full awakening. Kagyu, Gampopa's jewel ornament of liberation, Gelug, Lamrim, it's called, which is stages of the path by Lama Tsongkhapa. Okay, I think we've already gone over the purpose of the 6, but it always bears repeating. To gain positive potential by actions of body, speech, mind, and to gain the wisdom. To undermine confusion and ignorance that grasps at this false self. The confusion and ignorance grasp at the false self. All the actions of body, speech, mind that lead to suffering go right from that. Okay? The 6 perfections have all the Buddhist teachings on the conduct of a bodhisattva. So, can we do the path without being a bodhisattva? Yes. Yes. But it's the Mahayana level. The bodhisattva vow is essentially, I want to become awakened in order to awaken all others. So actually some teachers say, flip those, because really the first thing should be, I want to free all others. How can I do that? I have to wake up. You know, the prayers we say, we kind of first say, I want to be awakened in order to lead all others. But really, I heard one teacher say, there's no even reason to wake up if you're not going to bring all others out of suffering.
Yeah.
Now, that flies in the face of the Pali canon, which is your own liberation is key, you know. And in fact, there is some belief at the foundational level that you really can only liberate yourself. So the idea of liberating all beings, well, that's a great idea. It was tacked on later. It wasn't the Buddhist teaching. You don't need to worry about it. Just get your own garden in order. It's also a very good way to look at it. Okay, why are they called far-reaching? They infinitely open up the practice for all beings without exception. So you can't leave out your wife. You can't leave out your brother-in-law. You can't leave out the people who behead people. You can't leave out the drone pilots. You can't leave out anybody. You can't leave out the Donald. You can't leave anybody out. If you leave anybody out, the whole edifice collapses. That's really important to know. If we take anyone, Hitler, Stalin, Idi Amin, you know, and put them over there, and we leave them out, we are not on the Bodhisattva path. That's a really tall order. So, of course, we need to, as Pema Chodron says, start where we are. You know, I'm struggling with some of these, you know, I'm not like, oh yeah. But let's forget the emotions for a moment and just think logically. If Hitler had been free of all suffering, if Idi Amin had been free of all suffering, if Donald Trump was free of all suffering, no problem. So why wouldn't I wish that for them? Why would I not wish that for them? Why would I say I don't want you to have loving kindness? I don't want you to have happiness. This makes no sense. So Buddhism is very logical. You know, we should take our quote worst, most difficult person enemy, and we should be every day just sending them loving kindness. Because, hey, they get out of suffering, we get out of suffering. So that's the key way. So it's infinitely that way. You know, there's a great saying by the Zen people. They use it out at Great Vow. Well, that's why they call it the Great Vow. Sentient beings are numberless. I vow to save them all. It's crazy thinking, right? Do it. Kleshas, that is our disturbed mind states, are endless. I vow to end them all. Sounds like crazy thinking, but it's the most sane thinking as you start thinking about it. Yeah, I get it. Okay. What else are you going to do with them? Say they're endless and I'm going to wallow in them? That's the vow I live these days. Pleasures are endless. I vow to wallow in some of them. No, just kidding. So, yeah. So this path combines theory and practice. So the theory is the view, attitudes or motivation. You know, this view of all. And Lama Michael often talks about the usefulness of this idea of everyone's been my kind mother. That didn't work for me. My mother and I, difficult karma. By the end, lots of love. And I was able to be with her as she died, and that was so wonderful. But for Westerners, the whole thing of kind mother sometimes doesn't work. If it doesn't work for you, there's a couple things you can do. First of all, see the kindness that your mother actually had. I had to dig, but I saw it. And it was like I wouldn't have been alive without her. And sometimes she couldn't take care of me. She put me with others who could. Thank you, Mom. You know, never ever totally abandoned. You know, so thank you, Mom. I had food, shelter, clothing all my life. You know, and she was poor, very poor. Hardly had anything, but she made sure all of her kids did. So, you know, you have to dig in there past your frustration, anger, judgment. So that's number one. But the other thing is just don't say mom. You know, not everyone's been my kind mom. You can use whatever. Everyone's saved my life many times. In Buddhism, really, the view is, you know, endless time, beginningless time, endless time. So we've been everything to each other. We've all cut each other's heads off. Shocking. And we've all been the best of friends. We've saved one another's lives. There's nothing left to do except be enlightened together. We've done everything. Why would we do all this discrimination? So it's very helpful to open the thinking up as much as you can that way. Mary, you've got it.
So is this, with the mother thing, and I had a great mother, but sometimes when I'm thinking of others, maybe not just thinking they were my mother, I think I was your mother.
Oh yeah, thank you.
I was your mother too. I mean, what kind of mother was I? You know? So, you know,
Yeah.
just sort of contemplating that.
Thank you. I forget that one to say. And it's delightful in a way. Like you said, then you start thinking, you've been my dear children. So I have one son in this life, and I adore him and love him too much from his point of view. Not enough from mine. But sometimes, like the other day, I was driving a car, and there was a young guy about his age on a bicycle, and I felt kind of irritated, like he's taking up the road, and he can only go 15, so I got to go 15. And then I thought, Zopa, it's Sam, you know, and it was just like, oh, take all the time you want, honey. Careful, don't get hurt. And so that's the use of those, you know, but we have to use them, you know. So that thought only comes because I've had teachers and had time in my life to contemplate over and over. You know, everybody's been my son, everybody's been my mother, everybody's been. So pick whatever your dearest thing is, and, you know, you've all been my dear little 3 grandsons, you know, who I have now. So why would I not, you know, be sweet to you? Yeah, Marcy.
Sometimes I'll even do the thing where, like, if somebody seems like especially intimidating, or, you know, like those cliches are coming up in response to them, if I imagine, like, I remember that person was a child, you know, like I picture them as like 3 years old, or it really changes my kind of.
Yeah, good one. Yeah, Marcy sharing for the streaming people the idea of seeing them as your precious child, really. Yeah, and Mary shared, you know, we've all been each other's mothers too. So, yeah, these are, you know, it's all so often Ken McLeod and Lama Michael say, fake it till you make it. And this is one of the fake it's, you know, fake it. We don't really feel this, most of us. It's lovely if you do. But we have to use the habit of faking it until it's actually a part of us. It's like, it is a part of us, but it has to be waked up, you know. And we fake it till we fully wake up. Okay. So that's the view, the theory. Motivation, full liberation for everyone. The 6 paramitas are practice, and they're a core practice. You'll find them in almost everything. In the foundational path, they're not referred to in the same way, like a discrete 6, but you're going to find all those thoughts within the 4 immeasurables, for example, loving kindness, compassion, etc. Okay. What else did I want to say here? Well, I wrote down, if theory is never applied, what good is it? So that story about driving in the car and feeling the irritation, I have to apply the theory, or Marcy saying, then I think this way, if I can think of all the politicians who are doing stuff I'm not happy right now as 3-year-olds, I can get a little bit softer towards them, about 3 years old and running around, and not use that to criticize them, but just feel a little softer, like, instead of what a SOB or whatever you have in your head as a habit. Gosh, they're just a confused little child, Then you come to, well, what can I do to help the situation? What can I do to help the situation instead of, which doesn't help. Okay, now, again, just a reminder about these practices, which we'll remind over and over. Just one second. Let me take it, because,
Okay.
yeah, it might be on what we're just about to
It
pass.
was. A few weeks ago, I think it was Sally mentioned something in the Sunday Sit about realizing everyone has Buddha nature. I'm not sure if it was Sally or a couple of other people who mentioned that. And that's been helping me a lot, just the idea that I'm confused and I have Buddha nature, and the Donald is confused and he has Buddha nature.
Yeah, thank you.
And we're all just bumping around, making mistakes, but all trying to get to that Buddha nature. And it's really helped me an enormous amount to remember that.
Yeah,
So,
thank you. So Miriam sharing, we're all confused beings, but everyone has Buddha nature, and that's so helpful to remember. Like I some ISIS person gets killed. Lately there's been like kind of, yay, we took that one out. We took that one out, And obviously not rejoicing in it, because that's a fault in the sense of the mind spinning downward to there are enemies and us versus them. But thinking, if I can get to it, just wishing that mind stream, which has been evidently involved in violence this life, to be well, to be happy, may you go forward into a precious human life. How long does that take? 10 seconds, 5? So just getting in the habit of that whenever I hear of someone dying, whether there's someone I love and care about, like their names are down here on our altar, or they're sort of an ISIS person, they're still, that could be my son. That could be my son. If the conditions were right, he lived there, he got indoctrinated that way, that could be my son. And what a suffering to have a son that is involved in that and then dies like that. So thinking of those parents, wow, So anything we can do that raises the interconnection and the compassion. So you have to find your own little things. I'm describing ones I use, Marcy and Miriam and Mary sharing ones they do, but find yours and practice it. Okay. Now, the 6 perfections, the next piece is reminder of they're only completely transcendental when we realize actor, action, object, all empty, okay? And most of the time, even I'm talking about this, I think there's a real ISIS, a real Zopa, a real dedication, and it's just where we are right now. Realizing emptiness is going to take a while and a lot of practice. But we can get it, and we can get it conceptually, and then we can hope the conceptual getting doesn't interfere with the getting it on the cushion, where we can drop the thoughts and actually experience. That's one of the tensions between Gelug and Kagyu. Kagyus are kind of known as go to the cave and experience, and Gelugs are known as study, and study some more, and study some more, like the Talmud scholars. And what does that word mean? 17 commentaries on that word. And there's really, both of them honor each other in the sense of they both agree, like Venn diagrams, two circles that in the middle they have a common area. They both agree you have to have some study and you have to have meditative practice. They agree on that. They just emphasize a little more one or the other. And that's partly because there's so many personalities in the world that comes about. I came out of law, so where was I going to go? I was going to go study the 10, the 40, the 54 mental factors, It was natural for me. Then I got to a point right around the time the one-year retreat was offered here where I went, I have studied so much, my brain is going, it's exploding. I need to sit. And right then, the KCC 1 year came up, so that's how I ended up here. Although I met Kate Mama Michael back in the mid-90s. Okay. The 6 far-reaching practices are in an order on purpose. Everything in Buddhism is on purpose. So it's not just random. Now we start with generosity. It's purposeful. So generosity, ethics, patience. We'll just talk about the first 3 right now. The teachers, probably Maitreya, although I can't say it because I can't speak for him, I'm making a guess and intuitively, watched humans and said, what's the most natural, beneficial thing they do? They're generous. We feed each other every day. Moms and dads take care of their babies. Someone gets sick, people show up and help them. This is what we do. We just give. We give everything. We give advice, we give our time, we give our stuff, we give anything we have, Even you can read a marvelous book by Viktor Frankl about the concentration camps. He was in them. I can't remember the title. Small paperback. But he talked about the actual experience. People gave each other things all the time. Starving people.
Oh man, search for me.
Gave, this much bread. May you have some. That's astonishing. That's astonishing when you think how stuck we are in our self-grasping, that it's overcome by the natural Buddha nature. The natural Buddha nature shows up. And it shows up over and over and over. I mean, this place, I just wrote a little piece for the e-news about just being here and how many people come through here doing stuff. Don Dyer just repaired our banister down to the sidewalk. You probably try it out now. It doesn't wobble anymore. Steve Parker just did that beautiful wooden table there. People just come through going, I want to do that. I want to clean. I want to give this yard work. I'll do yard work. I'll do this. It's just constant giving. So this generosity is so natural that it's number one. Even the meanest person will give something in their lives to someone. They can't help it. They can't help it. And so then you can see they start building on each other. We've got generosity as the foundation. Ethics comes next. Why? Because as we give and we see our interconnection, we see the effect of harm. Ethics do no harm. That's the short for ethics, do no harm. We see, I not only want to give, I don't want to harm. So I need to start watching what my body, speech, mind doing. Then patience comes in, which is the ability to remain calm no matter what the circumstances. And that includes an ability to bear discomfort, B-E-A-R, to bear discomfort. I can hang in there. I can share my food even though I'm hungry, starving. I can practice this ethical discipline and not swear and not use harsh speech and not steal, not use unwise sexual behavior. I can bear this. So the patience comes in. The joyous effort covers all of them. You can't do any of them without effort. And without joy, you won't continue the effort, right? And then the concentration, if we can't focus in, we can't do any of them. You know, I want to do this, but oh, I'm over here, I'm over there, I'm over here, I'm up and down, you know. I can't remember what was I going to do, you know. So the concentration, which the Shine here builds. And then the wisdom, realizing emptiness of the three spheres. There's no big fat I here doing this, gaining some big ego shot, right? And no receiver, then no gift, no giver. Somebody doesn't receive. In fact, one teacher said something that occasionally I remember is, when I get the opportunity to give $1 to someone on the street, I should thank them. Thank you for the opportunity that I could give something. Thank you. If you weren't here, I couldn't give anything today. So I have this one story about when I was at Shrivasti Abbey, and I was being the guest registrar person for many retreats. We used to team up, and people who were brand new or younger to the Dharma, newer to the Dharma, we would mentor them, and I was mentor to this woman, Carrie, and I could see she was quite young, very sincere, and just didn't have material anything. I mean, when she moved in her room, it was like, you know, one set of clothes or something, and it wasn't just, I could tell it wasn't, she just brought it that way. This is how she lived, very simple, but really not much material wealth, nobody supporting her, being on her own. So after I got to know her for a while, I wanted to give her some money. And I offered it to her just one-on-one, you know, so she wouldn't feel whatever she felt. I didn't want her to be embarrassed or whatever. And she wouldn't take it. She wouldn't take it. And she said to me, I don't take anything from anybody. Mm-hmm. And I said, okay, I see that. And I just put it away. And a couple days later, I went to her and I said, I really need to talk with you. And she's like, what? And I said, well, you know, I want to practice generosity. And when you say you won't take anything, I can't. I can't practice generosity. And I understand you've grown self-reliant. That's great. I came up that way myself. Don't need anything from anyone. But I said, generosity is kind of like a circle. So there has to be me giving something and then you accepting. She was like, wow, I have to think about this. And she just, because I said, I really want you to know you blocked the generosity. And I feel kind of pained by that. So I wasn't manipulating, I was really just telling her. And later she came and she said, yes, I will accept that. And I learned out of that to say yes a lot more. You know, the habit, and I think it's this country too, the habit is, can I help you with that? No, I'm fine. Watch how much we do that. And I tried for a week because Venerable Children would tell us, if you find something, practice it hard for a week. You know, you're here at the Abbey, you've got an opportunity, you're not distracted. So for a week, whatever anyone offered, I said yes. It was hilarious. I had things I didn't want. I had help I didn't need. But it was fun. I really learned, like, can I help you? Yeah. And then I'd look around, here, how about that? And it was just fun. It really opened. So I think we really need to watch that habit of interfering with generosity. Because big I, doesn't need anything. Ego's all fine in my bubble. Don't bother me. Yeah.
I experienced some generosity from strangers not so long ago it was small, but it was just really beautiful, I think. I was riding Max, and it was in the evening, and there wasn't a lot of people on the train, but I was close to the door. These three Muslim ladies got on, all fully covered except for their faces, and the people were very friendly, chatting with each other, and Marcy or something, and then they started, they talked to each other, moved their purses, and they pulled out like candy, and they were giving each other a piece of candy, and then one of them looked at me, and they gave me some candy.
Oh, sweet.
It was just like, just out of all, I was just, oh, thank you so much, and I mean, there's no way you would say no. I mean, it would have been terrible, but it was just so, beautiful, especially looking at how the world is treating some of those
Yeah.
people these days. It's like, even though they don't know me, maybe by my accepting their generosity is helping them see that not everybody thinks they're horrible.
Yeah. It's such a small gesture, sharing a piece of candy, but so significant because it carries everything you just shared, cross culture, cross fear. So tiny, but the heart just opens,
And I thought it was interesting, they sat by me, and the train wasn't that many people on, but they like almost like purposely, they sat down there, maybe because it was close to the door.
Yeah,
But it was just like,
yeah,
we all were all these ladies, older ladies sitting together on the train.
yeah, yeah, sweet.
And a beautiful
Yeah.
example of just coming from pure motivation, just spontaneous,
Yeah.
pure.
Yeah, yeah. And it's really good to, when I've meditated on, when I've contemplated, I want to get the words right. Right now we're studying generosity, but we're going to do a contemplation on it. When I have contemplated over and over on generosity, what I give, what I don't give, situations I'm comfortable to give and it's easy when it's not, I noticed in myself not only that part that doesn't want to receive, but the part that feels embarrassed to give. There's something about that, being brave enough to reach across to the person on the train and say, would you like a piece of candy? So when I travel on the bus or train, I try to remember to bring a little extra food, and especially it's easy for me to do it with young people, because they're almost always hungry. And then to say, would you like some chips, or would you like some nuts, or you want some raisins? And I have to say, I don't think I've ever been turned down there, So it's just that trying, and what I'm practicing is trying to get over you're a stranger, So I give, but just to my buddies, and try and pass over that. And so just noticing for yourself, where do I get stuck? Where do I not let it flow? Do I not receive? Do I not push through that embarrassment, Or my fear of how it'll be received, or it might be rejected. So the perfection of generosity includes giving with no attachment to results, none whatsoever. One day I was walking down the street in Portland, and I used to work downtown, so I got panhandled constantly, and I was like, I don't know how much to give, I don't know, how much not to, so I made a budget for myself. I had a pretty good paying job, so I said, okay, every week I'll give 5 $1 bills away. That'll be $20 a month, And when I'm done with that, I'm done. I can smile, say hi, but no. So this one day, I was walking down the street, and there was a very disheveled guy there, just, clearly begging. And I handed him $1, and I always say, how are you today? And he went, I don't take money from women. And I was so mad. It was hilarious. It was exactly the practice of, if I give, you have to receive, buddy. And it was just blown.
Like me.
It was blown. I walked away going, wow, I don't even know what to say. I could have read him out about being a sexist pig. Like, okay, die on the street. That was the level of my anger that flashed. And then I just started laughing at it, like, so big ego. He had a story how this was supposed to go. He didn't do what you wanted. He's not a puppet, And so there was it, and that was just right there, give, no attachment, no attachment.
Mhm.
And one time I asked Alana, what about giving to people on the street if they look addicted or whatever and you're worried they're going to use it for whatever? And he said, well, see if you can give to some organization instead that helps, like Sisters of the Cafe. You can buy meal tickets. You give the person a meal ticket, they'll go down there, they'll get services. I mean, help with all kinds of stuff. But he said, otherwise, you just give it, your karma's done. You can say to them, and I do now, please use this to help yourself or someone. Please don't use it to harm anyone. Or another friend say, give them $2 and say, this is for you to give away. And I've done that a couple times. And both times I've done that, they've been in and they said, I know who I'm going to give it to. Like they have a buddy, who's not right there. So, yeah, that idea really helped. It's like it can help them increase their generous habit, because they need to increase their generosity. So, this one's for you, this one's for your friend, and maybe they do it or not, but you've done your intention, Mary.
I was just going back to something you were saying earlier about think of them as a child or as your son or your daughter. And sort of that vulnerability that you were also referencing in the act of giving, particularly in that context. For me, anyway, this complete stranger, don't quite know how they're going to react. So I was just doing the imagining to do that. Oh, this could be my brother.
Yeah.
This could be my son.
Yeah.
And it just sort of melted away any fear of connecting with them.
Yeah. Miriam. Thank you, Miriam.
It's hard for me, because of the field I work in, I kind of know where that money tends to go.
Yeah.
So, I have to admit, I'm very reticent about giving cash, so I like the idea of the meal ticket.
Yeah.
Or
Or
some other
you
service,
just say, I'm going to give 20 a month to Sisters of the Road or transition projects, people that work directly with them, and then you don't give out on the street. But even then, and this leads to this next part about giving, even then, we can stop, look the person in the eye, which is really helpful to them and yourself, to your practice, and just say, how you doing today, or what's up with you, or you don't have time to hear a story, just say, hope you have a good day, and people really, of course, if they're humans, people appreciate it, the contact. Even just looking someone in the eye and saying hi and going by, I do try to do that. In that way we give our presence. We give our presence. We don't have to give something physical. We give our presence, our wish for them to be well. And that's a huge generosity. And the more we practice, that gift becomes finer and finer. You know what I'm saying? Like the more we see, I'm not so different from that person. The more we equalize and exchange ourselves with others, I could be there. My dad was alcoholic. He was on the street. People in Seattle helped him, stay alive, get home, So for me, it's actually this life I can really connect into. But yeah, thinking it could be your dad, your son, your mom. There's a couple of elderly women who are out begging now, and that just breaks my heart, like I see them. And one of them dresses very, very nicely, looks very like a former school teacher, and stands on a corner downtown, and I've stopped and talked with her, like, I give her something, but I say, what are you doing out here? And she says, well, my money almost makes it to the end of the month, but it doesn't. So to pay my lights or have enough food the last week, I come do this. She's very cool about it. She's just, very cool about it. But it's like, there's my grandma, me, my mom, so then it's easy to give something.
Zopa?
Yeah.
I have a question.
Too much, yeah.
You talk about the three spheres, right? So, the strength of the three spheres for me, changes depending on the situation. But one thing I wanted some input on was the recipient. The recipient still seems solid,
Yeah,
and I haven't found. I mean, the other two sometimes subside.
yeah,
When there's a in you, the first one, the self,
yeah.
takes strength. The giving, what's given, can subside also. You don't have that attachment. But the third one, the recipient, is very strong.
Well, okay, so Suvancha's sharing with the three spheres, the recipient part seems solid, more strong
Yeah.
than the gift or the giver. Why? What's the difference? What do you apply? What do you apply so that you and the gift are soft? And that would be applied to the recipient too. No difference. Suvancha's skin and bones and that meditation. Are
Yes,
you your
yes,
body?
yeah.
No. And
Yeah,
is
there's
the
32
body a
parts.
body? No, you can take it apart. So are you your consciousness? Well, that shifts every minute. Are you your emotions? Shifts faster. Are we our thoughts? Shifts faster. So no solid I here. It's like a soup that's moving and changing. Also that recipient, same thing. Right?
So,
How do they get solid?
So when you give something,
Yeah,
how I mean, if the act was 100% clean,
clean.
purified,
Okay.
right? What is your view of? Let's set aside the two of them. Let's go to the third one.
Uh-huh.
What is your view, in the act that is 100% purified? Well, how do you? What is the experience of that feel like? Can you?
Well, I don't know. I'm not 100% purified. But I'm not sure I'm getting the question. The view of the recipient is
Yeah,
the
I mean,
same
what-
as the view of the giver and the gift. They are equally interdependent and non-separate.
But so. But when you give something, right?
Yeah.
You still have the experience that you're giving something
Yes.
to somebody,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
That experience is
That's the
there.
conventional level experience.
Okay.
Conventional level.
And
The ultimate level, all three of those are equally empty. Same kind of emptiness. Their emptiness is just one kind of emptiness. Objects are all equally empty. Beings are all equally empty on the ultimate level.
true. I'm trying to think, from an experiential standpoint, what will that feel like? I mean, I don't have an answer.
Yeah, I can't answer it either. What will it feel like? You'll have to see. You just keep practicing and you will see.
It sounds
Yeah.
like it sounds
And it will feel many, many things in between the steps to understanding the ultimate, which, I mean, I have to say, for most people, we're not going to get the ultimate in this life. That's kind of a thing to say. But I say it for the reason that we have unrealistic expectations of our practice, that I'm going to go out and purely do anything. Right now, I still don't understand the Four Noble Truths deep enough. Period. That's the foundational path, much less these. I don't know if it helps. But you just have to keep practice and experience. And your experience will be different from Deborah's, Marcy's, mine. So Matthew's first and then Marcy.
Sorry about being a little jumping.
It's a good question, but it has to be lived.
It sounds to me what he's kind of trying to get at is when I practice generosity towards another person, because we have the privilege of seeing the entirety of the life of our mind, but we can't see theirs in that same, there's not the same depth that we have for our own experience to them. How do we hold the view of they are not their body, I am not my body, I'm empty, they're empty, the action the action I'm doing is empty. How do we hold that as we are practicing generosity during the empty action?
Yeah. Okay, so we hold it by many, many hours of shine. Many, many hours on the cushion that we take whatever we realize there comes with us off the cushion into our lives. And it's automatic. We don't have to do anything. You're not going to try for it. So please, when you're doing these giving, don't try, and I'm going to kind of act it out here, try to think, I'm not real, that's not real, they're not real. That'll just get in the way. Just do the practices on the cushion of Shine will build the concentration. We're now mostly into the last Saturday's topics, but we'll touch on them. Shine, calm abiding, gets the concentration. Then we move to insight, which is taking that piercing laser concentration into what's the nature of the mind. Then we experience, not think about, but experience. I'm just saying it conceptually because I don't have this. Then we experience the insight into mind's nature is empty clarity and empty luminosity. When we experience that, when we know it, it's not hard then. It's with us all the time. The view, we become the view. Do you see? So then it's not like I'm going to try to, think we're not separate. That's okay. It's baby steps, the trying. It's conceptual. We have to understand I'm in the conceptual mind about this. It's not the experiential one. And it's tricky. You don't want the conceptual mind to override the experience by always explaining. Now I'm giving this and it's empty. Always explaining will be in the way. Okay? You got that part? Yeah.
So
It's a great question. Yeah.
You talking about that reminded me of. It's funny actually. I had already read the answer. I just didn't know that was the answer to the question. I'm reading a sutra that I won't get into, but one of the things that it mentions is when a bodhisattva practices generosity, they should not hold on to any views or concepts or think,
Yes.
or think at all.
Yeah, yeah. We're talking views today because we're getting the groundwork in.
Okay.
But then the real work is when we grow our wisdom, the sixth perfection of understanding all is empty, all is so interdependent. There's no separate giver, gift, or receiver. Not one iota of separation. They all have to be there, plus tens of billions of other causes for this to occur. Yeah, Marcy.
Well, I was just thinking about Savancha's question too, and that could one of these experiential on the cushion practices that lead to that be Tonglen? Like, would that?
Yes.
So that would help you to be less conceptual.
Yes. So Marcy's pointing out one of the on the cushion practices that supports this is Tonglen, because as we do the taking and giving, we take in the suffering, we use it in essence. Well, it does it by itself, but it's the explanation is use it to melt the self-grasping. It goes back to the 8 worldly concerns. I don't want this pain. I don't want this bad reputation. I don't want this loss, But we voluntarily on the cushion with Tonglen take someone's in, wishing them to be free. And then as we do that and we breathe out and give away, it's a generosity practice, Tonglen, built-in generosity. You give away everything wonderful. You start seeing after a while the connection. I can't do this without a being to give to. Think if there was no one to give anything to. Oh my God, that would be a true nightmare. Not just that people reject it, but you could not give. So you see, there's no giving without the receiver. There's no giver without the receiver. And in that moment, no solid giver, because the next moment you're not a giver, you're something else. It's like this. When is the giving? When is the giving? When I have an intention, but is the giving now, or I pick up the thing, which moment of that is the giving? Then is it, now am I giving, or does she have to touch it before, or can she just reach out? See, we can't find. You deconstruct, you can't find. So that's what you want to do with that recipient. Deconstruct them. They're just skin, bones, body, name, they're there for that minute. They're only a recipient for, I don't even know which second, because you can't find. When they receive it, you really can't find. Okay, so that was a lot. Let's take a minute. So that was study. Now we're going to contemplate. We're going to do a contemplation with generosity. So get comfortable and take a few breaths and check your body. If there's any tension anywhere, it's often in the eyes or the forehead. Let that go. Shoulders, hips, feet. Let that all go into the ground with a breath or two. Now we're just going to contemplate generosity in our very own personal life. And one important guideline is no judgment. Whatever you find, no judgment at all. You're just a scientist looking without judgment at yourself and your activities around this, your thoughts, your emotions, what you do. And even judgment arises, don't judge the judgment. Just let it be there. Whoever comes in for tea, they're welcome. So think for a moment of something that's easy for you to give. What do you give now? Donations or time or advice, just what you give. And take a moment to simply rejoice in that. Really feel the joy. I give things to people. I give things to the community. See if you can feel the happiness it brings to your heart and mind. Now take a moment to think of receiving. All day long, we receive so many things, even water out of our faucets. Someone's giving that. So think of the many things you receive and just kind of contemplate, what kind of a receiver am I? How do I want to be receiving things? Now we're going to kind of go through these quickly for time, but I'm giving you examples of what you can do on your own cushion here. So as a giver and as a receiver, what kind of state of mind do you want to cultivate? For example, for me, I see as a receiver, I want to be more aware of the many things I'm given during the day and to be grateful. Something like that, but make it your own. So the next step is to commit to cultivating that kind of mind, because no one else can do it for you. They're not in your mind stream, you're in your mind stream. So make a commitment to put some effort into cultivating that, the kind of mind you want to be giving and receiving with. And now we're going to do a little bit of a challenging one. So imagine giving away something you really do not want to give away. Your house, your car, your health, a certain relationship, your partner, your grandchild. Imagine you're going to give them into a good situation. You could give them to the Buddha. You could give them to someone who really wants a grandchild and doesn't have one, someone who needs a good partner, someone who needs a house, a car, a computer, your job. Pick one thing that's hard to give away and imagine actually giving it away. And what you're looking for here is your reactions. Again, with no judgment, we're just trying to learn about our mind. So just play with that scenario. No judgment. Lots of compassion. You can also imagine the reaction of the person you give to, their happiness in receiving. And now take a nice deep breath, a relaxing breath, and just drop all the stories, all of it. That was contemplation. Now we just meditate. So go to your object of meditation, breath or Buddha or whatever you use, and just let go of all the stories. Just soak in it. Story comes back, just let it go again. Just relax. Yet be alert. So we can see the three wisdoms working together, the theory, the study, then the contemplation, which is the part that the Geluks do a lot more of, that contemplation part, like take something, make a story, work it in your life. At least this is my experience. And then the meditation, drop the whole story, just let it sink in. More the Kagyu emphasis on the third wisdom. But they all work together, you can see that. So I wanted to stop and hear any feedback or anything people, it's quite a struggle, isn't it, trying to give away something, especially someone, if you worked with a person, someone you are really attached to, you start seeing the attachment. But the truth is, we're going to lose everyone eventually, because even you stay together your whole life, one of you dies first, unless you both die together, which could happen. But so we get a chance in these contemplations, why I like them, then I get to see, oh, that's where I'm stuck. That's where I'm stuck. That's where my emotions hijack me. My sadness, my gripping right away. No, I don't want to give away my newest grandson. No, that was the one I worked on right now. Even someone's a great home and they need a baby. No, he's mine. And there you see it, But someday that little grandson's going to be gone. And we don't know, am I going first or him? Don't know. He's already been in the hospital twice. Don't know, This helps us get to reality out of our fantasy world of this relationship will last forever. I will always have my house. My car is mine. So I just wanted to hear any other thoughts.
It's actually
Cynthia. Yeah. Is it Cynthia?
Yes, that's
Yeah,
right. Yeah. I first visualized the property I live on because I'm very fond of it. It's forested. But then I decided to cut to something a little deeper, and that would have been my good health. And what came up was I was scared. What am I left with? It's great suffering, disease, and gone.
Wow.
Scary. But go for it anyway.
Good for you.
Just jump.
I'm scared to do that one. I don't do that one. So I'll try it next time. You forged the trail, but
Yeah,
Cynthia
sense of
shared
abandon.
first thinking, I don't want to let go of my farm, my horses, but then, I'll go deeper, my health. And then giving your health to someone, it's a piece of Tonglen in a way. You give your health to someone who's over there, trade, you're the one sick in the hospital bed dying. Oh my God, that's horrifying. So of course you felt fear. And these are the things we bring up to look at, not to foster them, but go, I am still very afraid of dying. So we don't fool ourselves into, I've got that one down. I can do Tonglen, in and out, breath. So many times we say, I hear people, I've got that down. I've got that. We don't really say I've got that down. We just kind of go, oh yeah, I heard that. It's more like that. I heard that. It's like, great, you heard it. You contemplated it. Did you experience it? Do you embody it? No. This is the path, though, is to go deep, deep, deep. So I love that you challenged your own self-centeredness and said, no, something harder. Anybody else? That's great. Oh, Matthew.
It's actually funny that what she mentioned was actually kind of the flip side of what I experienced. I attempted to give a person very dear to me who I very much want a deep, intimate connection with,
Yeah.
and giving and like sort of giving up that connection to doesn't matter who it is, to someone else with that particular person, like sort of like hypothetical possibility of I'm not the person that they wish
Yeah.
to be.
Yeah, they pick someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my brain actually was like, nope, and decided to instead to go with me giving that the person that I wish to be with my feelings and them not reciprocating. Their response is not what I wish it to be, because it actually
Yeah.
it was so
Yeah.
versus the other one. It was like, nah, I'm not doing that.
But see, it's great. I love your honesty. It's great to just see, I can't go there right now, but eventually can you see, in a rational sense, it would be an end of suffering to be able to say, I can live well with or without, and I wish them well wherever they are, whoever they're with. We can see that theoretically, but then we get to see, shut that door, go there, go there, go there, yeah. And there's a great mind training slogan, it's one of my favorites out of the Lojong teaching. Don't put the load of an ox on a donkey. I've talked about this before. So in these meditations, we want to challenge ourselves as hard as Cynthia did. And you started with big challenge. But then we want to be very compassionate. Oh, right now, I'm kind of a little donkey, so I better not do that one. Just park that and work where the donkey can work instead of breaking the donkey's back, and being so unhappy with something. We pick something way too big for ourselves. Make sense?
Thank you.
Yeah, Mary.
This is kind of hilarious, but I was thinking about, so I was trying to think big. It's like, okay, what if I gave Bob away? And then all I got was this image of
Gave your
him
husband
going,
away?
woman, what are you doing now?
Yeah,
Make that decision.
yeah. I should have added with permission. Boss, you're going. Yeah, yeah.
Not
Finally,
usually, yeah.
that's great. No way. Okay. Other. Yeah.
Well, I also did my health because I was gonna do my house. It's funny, Cynthia, I had the same sort of, process of elimination, it's like, well, I need my house, like, well, I need my health even more. I like to hike and I like to do all these outdoor things, and okay. And right now I'm experiencing frustration where I'm having this coughing stuff,
Yeah.
and I came out of the
Fun
laryngitis,
stuff.
cold and all that stuff. So it was like a little bit more close to home, and what I did to survive that was to think of the benefit to the other person. And just think,
Yeah.
oh, that person's doing
Yeah.
better, that person's doing better.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's one of the best tricks is if it's hard to give, and I said right at the end, see their happiness, see their happiness. And remember again, this one's been so kind to me. They've been my mother, they've been my brother, they've saved my life. Why would I want them to suffer while I sit here gripping? This is the practice of generosity, trying to open. But we have to know what's in my mind. Where are my challenges? They're going to be very personal, to you. So that stretching, all Buddhism all the time talking about being your own doctor. First you have to diagnose your mind. You have to go, what's the diagnosis here? It's stinginess, it's clutching. Not my house, not my kid, not my this, not my health, not my girlfriend, not my that, And as long as there's a very short saying, you cling, you suffer. You cling, you suffer. I say it to myself every once in a while, Zopa, you're clinging. Who's suffering? You are. You want it to be different than it is. Well, that's a definition of craziness, go ahead and try and move all the ducks around in a row. You get the ducks in a row and then they wander off and you, all that energy, get them back in the row, they wander off. Bob doesn't want to be given away. He doesn't do what you say, even in your meditation. Even in your meditation, he shows up saying, I don't want to do that. So, why not say, this is how it is? Can I live with it how it is? Can I practice with this is how it is? Instead of me manipulating, jerking, twisting, turning, wearing myself out, Okay, other thoughts? Yeah,
I just
Linda.
wanted to share, I gave away my house to a mom and a child,
Wow.
and I was left with, what about me?
Mhm.
And then I was left with, now I've got to work that out.
Now I got to work that out.
Yeah, so it's just another step, so.
When you got to now, I got to work that out. What were you feeling?
I was feeling like it was going to be a lot of work,
Yeah.
and it was going to take a lot of conversation, negotiation, manipulation, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So then you see your what we call practical mind. Like gotta make a plan here, and then there's a mind that eventually comes under that more and more of. It's kind of like, I know the word I'm looking for, trust. I trust that if I practice the path, and I'm not saying give away our houses, you can if you want, I did, but I got my equity out of it. But trust, I give away this house, go off to the Abbey.
That's what I thought.
I don't, did you?
I'm free to go to the Abbey now.
Yeah, free to go to the spiritual life. I didn't want to take care of a house anymore. It takes a lot to take care of a house. So I didn't know when I came out of the Abbey where I would live.
Yeah.
And I've had wonderful places to live, thanks to all of you here now, but other places too. So there's some kind of trust in, if I practice these practices, it leads to no suffering. And we have to be sensible about our lives, but where we are, I was in a place where I could do that then. But, a trust, instead of, again, we get to watch, I don't know, I'm going to take that step, I'm not sure, and then just stepping into it, like, okay. And Miriam touched on the key thing is, I want that person happy. They've given me so much, time and time again, saved my life, time and time again, been my kind mother, been my father who worked so hard, to keep us having food, clothing, time and again. So this is just stepping toward the big paramita of no self, no object, no other, which is a much bigger, view, or more open view. So, but this nudges us. You can see, I'm that interconnected. Then giving, even I don't have it, I could be joyful. Interesting, isn't it? I could be joyful losing something that's so precious to me. How can that work? This is what we contemplate. This is the contemplation piece. Then the dropping it all, just rest where it is, be with your breath. That you don't have, no effort. It's going in, no effort. You don't have to do anything. You're soaking in it. Make sense? Okay. This is so rich. Okay, what is this Sam supposed to do next? This is my blueprint. I got so lost. Okay, we did that. I want to read a few definitions of generosity, and it's quite, I see today we won't get to ethics. That's fine. I kind of predicted we wouldn't to myself, so we'll bump them over to the next Saturday. But I want to read a few of the definitions from deep teachers on on generosity. Giving with joy, with no sense of loss. That's from Venerable Chitran. No sense of loss. How beautiful. And we see when we contemplate, oh, I have a sense of loss. That's okay. Contemplate again. Keep imagining giving. We imagine because it's like playing dress up. You dress up as a doctor over and over again, and then you go, I think I really want to be a doctor. I'll go to school and be a doctor. You know, you're a little kid playing nurse or whatever. So we try these on over and over in the contemplation. Gampopa says it's, quote, a mind co-emergent with non-attachment. Co-emergent with non-attachment. So in the contemplation we see the attachment. We see the way we don't want to let go. But this mind of giving, co-emergent with that non-attachment, and with that motivation, fully giving. Just boom, gone. I give it up. I won't read that one. We've kind of covered that. Oh, I like Shanti Deva's. This is a paraphrase. Use your body like a boat. Use your body like a boat, going here and there. And here, this part is a quote. Make of it a thing. I love this, that answers every wish to bring about the benefit of others. Your little body as a boat, there to answer every wish to bring the happiness to others. What a way to live. I don't live that way right now, but I really love that. I wanna do that, you know. That's the Bodhisattva mind. Then the 37 practices of a Bodhisattva. Oh my God. If you have never read the 37 practices of Bodhisattva, go online, put it in, read it. It is so powerful. And on generosity it says, part of the 37 practices, the 6 are kind of hidden in there. You might not notice them until you're looking for them. But they're in the order of generosity, ethics, patience, joy, separate, concentration. 37 practices about generosity says, quote, when those who want enlightenment, so you want to be a Buddha, must give even their own bodies, there's no need to mention external things. You know, the stuff we own. You got to give your body, you know. We're going to have to give our body. Many of you probably know that story of the Bodhisattva comes on the starving mother tiger, and her babies are already born, and they're starving, she's starving, and the Bodhisattva just throws himself down and says, eat me. Keeps the mother tiger alive. Well, that's pretty far out there, but that's giving with no sense of loss. Now, if you think about that, the Bodhisattva knows there's no solid separate body, no solid separate tiger, no solid separate giving. Bodhisattvas go into death knowing it's just a transition. I have this outfit on now. I get a new outfit. If I practice these practices, outfit will be even shinier and better and more helpful. This is a pretty far out way to be thinking, but it's what we're trying for. So, you know, we need to talk about it. Okay, they give their own bodies, so there's no need to mention external things like houses and stuff. Without any hope for return or fruition, give generously. This is a practice of the Bodhisattva. Okay. I talked to Bill about this before he left on his trip and said, what am I going to be missing, Bill? And, he gave me so much, of course, because he's Bill. And I picked out a few things, one of which I had not thought about so much before. I mentioned it before, and I did borrow it from him. The generosity of our presence. And the more our presence is aware, clear, kind, compassionate, the more huge that gift is. So he was tying it to calm abiding practice. You know, we do our calm abiding practice, our concentration, clarity, our awareness of how our mind's work grows, then our presence becomes a very wondrous healing gift for beings. Automatic. Don't have to even think about it. He said we always have something to share naturally, as if we're in contact with any goodness in ourselves, That's a natural sharing. Wherever you go, that'll show up. You walk in a room, people are going to feel that. Just like someone walks in a room with a hostile motive, they're not saying anything, we feel it, right? You walk in the room with that bodhisattva intention, people feel it. Depending on how hurt they are, they may not feel a lot of it, or they may be more open and feel a lot, but they're feeling it. So that's a huge giving. I wrote this, so I think he said it. That's just really good, Bill. We always have something to share naturally if we're in contact with our own Buddha nature. This is our fundamental richness, our fundamental abundance. And living simply is closer to this. So if we're out there acquiring, we're really serving those 8 worldly concerns, you know. And not just acquiring goods, but acquiring reputation, acquiring status, acquiring this and that, without any concern for others, then we're just caught in the 8 worldly concern. So our fundamental nature, the richness and abundance we have to give, comes out more the simpler we live. You can see that because you're not so caught up. One time my dad was a Montana cowboy, and he used to say the most astonishing things to me and to all of us kids. And one day he said, I really wanted something, I don't remember what it was, but we didn't have the money to have it, so he'd always say, we'll see. That was a good saying, we'll see. And then the wanting would pass, and what we'd see is we aren't getting it. But it was kind of, it wasn't no. But the other thing he said, I really wanted this, and he said, you know, you need to watch out, honey, because your things will own you. I was like 8 or 10 or something, and I thought, what is he talking about now? You know, he's always talking something. But what's he talking about now? And then I started looking around and I saw it was true. People owned things, then they had to give it a storage garage, then they had to get locks, then they had to get a guard, and then they had to spend their time like protecting the thing and thinking about the thing, and if someone touched the thing, they were freaked out, and if someone ruined the thing, their lives were wrecked. I was like, wow, things can own us. Things can own us. Watch out, you know. Think of all the stuff in your house and what you have to do to keep track of it, and then if you don't, it gets dusty and rusty, and you have to think, where do I dump this? You know? Or it takes up a huge amount of space, so they start owning us. Okay, what else? Bill said, as bodhisattvas, naturally sharing our presence is the natural gift. Okay, we give 3 objects, material goods, we've talked about this. We give aid or protection. That's one of the classic teachings. Someone needs protection, we give it. Even insects, you know, you get them out of the way. The worms on the sidewalk, the other day I was walking with a friend, she just went down, said, oh, he's going to be in trouble, and moved it over. So sweet, you know, just, gee, worms on the sidewalk, we put them somewhere else. Give aid, give protection, and give dharma. We give dharma by our presence, we give dharma by what we share with our friends. Tricky thing about give dharma, only give it to those who want it. We can get very preachy. No, that'll backfire. Give to those who are open to it, and don't call it dharma. You know, you just say, hey, I was thinking about something about generosity today. The highest level of giving, of course, we just experienced, is what we're not giving what we are attached to, still giving it freely. And the highest level is knowing the emptiness of all 3, the huge interdependence. Okay? Okay, those were stories I might tell, but I don't think I will. We already went over that. Cool. Good. We're at ethics. I will tell one of the stories. Which one? Let's see. Well, I'll tell that one. One day, Venerable Chitran at the Abbey, she used to do this stuff to us. She was training us really well. And she said, okay, today everybody has to give away something that they are really attached to. And I was mad instantly because I had just gotten there. I had given up my husband, my house, my car, my bike, you know. I mean, like, you want me to, if I piled everything I have, it's 2 suitcases. And what am I going to give? Now you want me to give something else. Here goes the mind. So, of course, she's holding the mirror up. There's where your mind goes. But I thought, and right away it came, what I was going to have to give. And I said, no. No, I'm not going to give that. I said to myself, this was all internal dialogue. I said, no, I'm not giving that. It was a little blue satsa. You know what satsas are? They're these beautiful little plaster things that Buddhists make. They're often of a deity or a Taurus monk or
the
something.
little clay.
Yeah, they're clay. There's one here that's pretty big, but they can be very big. I have one this big, but they're really beautiful. And I had a little blue satsa of the blue medicine Buddha, and it had been given to me by the Sravasti community when I got breast cancer. So I had had it all through my breast cancer. Then I had an eye disease, and it had been with me all through the eye disease. And I had had it blessed by Geshe Kelsang Damduo, my other root lama, who hardly ever comes here. And it was just like all this going through my mind. I can't possibly give up this satsa. And I was like, okay, I'll do something else. I won't give that. I'll do something else. And I'm looking all around, and it just kept coming back. You have to give this. You have to. This is what this is all about. So I gave it away to one of the nuns who was not feeling well, and not one of my favorite nuns. I mean, they're all great, but you know what I mean. Not like my best friend. And I gave it away to her. Venerable said by the end of today, by 9 p.m., everybody's got to give something. So I did it. She was delighted. She knew where it had come from. She was one of the givers, you know. So, and she wasn't feeling well. She was really delighted. She knew my cancer story. She was so happy. That part made it easier. Then about 3 days later, we were all busy with other things. And Venerable said, do you remember what you gave away? And I went, yeah, like blue satsa. She said, what's it like now? And I went, it's nothing. It was nothing. I had forgotten. I had totally, it wasn't like every day I was going, my blue satsa. It was gone, and that was the lesson. Empty. You went through all that trauma, you know. Zopa, you were like all crazy about it, and everyone was crazy about what they did, you know, because they all picked precious things. And now nothing. So what was that all about? There it is. That's the whole thing about generosity. Okay, let's sit quiet for 2 minutes, and then we'll dedicate. Let's be just touch on your joy or your confusion, whatever is all up for you, and rejoice in every bit of it. We've had a marvelous time together studying the Dharma, increasing our wisdom so we can help all beings. Let's give all of this joy and wisdom away immediately to all of our dear mother, brothers, son, daughters, friends. May they fully enjoy it and benefit from it. And in that giving, we can trust that we also benefit. There's no loss. There's no one to lose. No thing to lose. And really nothing to gain either. So we just keep practicing. And let's do our traditional dedication here.
this virtue may I quickly realize Mahamudra and establish all beings without exception in this state.
A reminder, Mahamudra, Great Seal of Emptiness. Appearance, emptiness, same thing. Okay. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Please come back tomorrow. Please come back tomorrow at 9 and tomorrow at 6:30. We're gonna, I have one announcement. Did you stop the streaming already?
No, I didn't.
Oh, good. Particularly for streamers or those who use streaming, sometimes I do. We are gonna switch our streaming service from Ustream to YouTube. So that will start April 10th. And then you will go to YouTube, KCC Media. I'm sure there'll be an announcement. The channel is called KCC Media. And on the website, there will be a link under website Meditate, okay? And the Ustream videos will be, the old Ustream videos will still be available through the month of April. And then they're all going to be transferred over to YouTube.
Oh, wow.
Everything. I don't know whether the whole archive's going to YouTube. Peter Woods would know. But I know they're going to try and put as much as they
I
can.
think some of it goes away after a certain length of time.
Yeah, but whatever's still there,
Right.
we won't lose any. Okay. Okay, bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a
Thank you.
wonderful Saturday.
Talking about going to
This is so
YouTube.
fun.
Yeah, yeah.
That was